How's a $5 15-minute COVID test sound? Well, the FDA just gave it a thumbs up, and the test could be coming here to our state. It's the first of its kind. And while this could be great for Florida, as 10 Tampa Bay's Bo Zimmer explains, right now, there's only limited supply.
This week, the FDA announced emergency approval of an all-new antigen test created by Abbott Labs. At a cost of just $5, it's compared to the convenience of a pregnancy test, with results coming back in 15 minutes. Information that could be invaluable when testing at schools, airports, or restaurants.
It's a new technology which actually measures the antigen, so it actually measures part of the virus itself.
Now, emergency planners are trying to bring some of these new tests to Florida, but it turns out nearly all of the first-year supply of the Abbott test were already scooped up by the federal government. The state is now in talks with Washington, trying to see if any of those tests will be allocated to Florida. There are a number of other new rapid tests on the market, and doctors in California say the technology is worth looking into.
It's extremely accurate, so basically just like with the regular nasal PCR that people are familiar with, it's a positive is pretty much 100% a positive.
But other doctors warn antigen tests are still far from perfect. Even though this one is more sensitive than previous rapid tests, there are still a small percentage of false negatives expected. And this test isn't yet approved for people who are asymptomatic, meaning the test right now can only be used for people who are actually feeling sick.
The problem is they're not sensitive enough to pick up all infections, so they may miss some infections.
Now, Jared Maskowitz, the director of Florida's Division of Emergency Management, tweeted last night, quote, "I'm pursuing this test aggressively. This is a game changer. We'll update you if and when our state gets a hold of them."